of applause. How many of you got to see Mickey and Peter this morning, I guess, right? And so we try to do that throughout the week. Every year it's a little different. Some artists love them, some artists don't, so we have to kind of ask and inquire based on who wants to be a part of these things. And when we were talking about doing the 60s music scene, we contacted all the artists, and as you can see behind me, every single flipping one of them said that they want to be here. So we've got no shortage of big stars on stage for us today. And speaking of no shortage of big stars, we could not possibly do a panel like this without a big star moderating, if you will. And this man right here is absolutely fantastic. We've got to know him a little bit throughout the week. He is, well, many of you from Florida know him from Beatles Radio and beyond. He's the one and only Mr. Joe Johnson.
Thank you, Jason. He's doing a great job this week. I don't know where you guys sleep. He's on my TV. He's up at 8 o'clock. He's up at 2 a.m. Wow, it's so great. My second year back at the Flower Power Cruise, and you guys heard that the next year we added, because we keep getting more great celebrities, we had to add 2 more days. We hope that's all right with you. I just met a woman, I was carrying a shirt to wear up here, and it was in the elevator, and she said, "Are you leaving the ship?" I don't know, do you know something I don't know? Did I piss off the captain? I don't know. No, I was just carrying my shirt up here. But anyway, you're going to be leaving tomorrow, sadly, so but you know what, we have all night tonight. I know that a lot of you stayed up late. How many people went to bed at 9 o'clock last night? No? You guys are laughing. 5 years from now, you'll be asleep at 8. How many went to bed at midnight? Slackers. How many were up till 2? There you go, there my peeps. How many are still up from like Monday morning when we got Cheers! You guys know how to party. You'll stretch this thing out to a whole year. So anyway, we have a lot of great events coming up, not just the rest of the day, but in the following cruises, we have the Rock and Romance Cruise. This little guy got a great seat. The Rock and Romance Cruise in about a week and a day, and then of course we're back next year for 7 days. So pre-book, as Jason's been telling you, the lowest possible cabin rate is only going to be here on this trip. So as soon as we dock, then that all changes. So go ahead and reserve your space. So I've talked to a lot of people who have. So we got about 42 guests, so I'm going to just introduce them and then we'll say goodbye. Now, let's start out with a band that I had only seen and heard about in their legendary status, and I had a chance to witness their playing last year here on the Flower Power Cruise, and then they played a show by last night at 11, tonight by the pool. That is the closer. Do not miss it. Please welcome from the Family Stone, Jerry Martini and Greg Errico. Jerry and Greg, they're backstage. Come on up, you get the first pick. This is Jerry, this is Greg. Now, grab a seat wherever you want to be. No sun for you, I got sunscreen. All right, fantastic. And they got on board yesterday and the day before, and they've been playing some great shows for us from the Yardbirds. Let's see if we can get them all in here. Kenny Aronson, Johnny A, Mike Cerrone, John Idle, Jim McCarty. Come on out, you guys, from the Yardbirds. Rock and roll royalty, the supergroup.
They're at the bar.
Here they come. All of these guys are going to be playing again, so we're going to have a chance to hear their performances. Now a band that has been together, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary. They actually have a new CD out, and it's a tribute to their interpretation of Led Zeppelin, In Through the Outdoor. We're going to welcome the Vanilla Fudge, Pete Bremy, Mark Stein, Carmen Lapisse, Vince Martel. You got a chair out of order. Hang on. I'll give you my shirt. I'll give you the shirt.
Drums are back there if you want to see.
All right, we're just going to slide down. Sure. It's like when you go to a movie and you leave one seat between you and your spouse. So this is a little bit different. We're going to talk about the music, of course, but really the cool thing about all of these artists, the reason why we chose them is we need 2 volleyball teams. But actually, we chose them because they have incredible stories and experiences in the rock generation of the 60s. And I want to start with Jerry and Greg, because with the Family Stone, you guys really did it. I mean, you were at Woodstock, you were there for the Chicago riots, so you were rock stars beginning in the middle 60s.
Joe.
What? Oh, I forgot Mickey Dolenz. We're gonna be on the show. All right, hang on. I'm gonna put that right there. All right. There you go. Be careful, though. I head you up. All right. All right. Fair enough. My apologies, my friend. You're working so hard this week. You're doing a great job. All right, I apologize. I want to talk again to the guys from Family Stone, because tell us about your experiences at Woodstock and all of the times that you went through with Sly, and whether or not he was going to show up, and then how did you get to Woodstock first?
You were talking about Chicago, right?
Right.
And we actually were there, and we were on our way to the gig at the park, and there was a police escort. We're in the limousines. We're downtown, right before Lakeshore. And all of a sudden they make a U-turn. We go, where we're going? They take us to the airport. And they said, you guys gotta leave. We're gonna get out. I had no idea what happened. And so I got home. I see everyone's in the living room watching the TV's on, and everybody's, but it was a riot. But we were there. And they kind of blamed it on us.
They blamed us
if we didn't show up. Well, yeah, we didn't show up.
So what about did it take you a long time to get into Woodstock? Because
well, yeah, because
like, were you scheduled to play like on Thursday and then it turned out to be Monday?
No, we were supposed to play Saturday night at 8 p.m. We ended up going on at 3 a.m., but we were there, and that was because Michael Lang and all the promoters and producers kept coming back saying, everything's behind, we gotta wait another hour. This went on all night till 3 a.m.
And your performance is legendary.
Which was a challenge, because you got to figure all those people were there from Thursday, and they're 24 hours a day, sun, it's raining, it's hot, they're tired, they're done. It's a Saturday night, they're done. And we're looking at each other, 3 a.m., we got to go on. It was raining all night, and people are like, huddled up in their tents and they're asleep, and who cares, right? So, I mean, remember we looked at each other and just kind of said, well, all we could do is take the stage and just give it all we got, And so that's what we did.
Mickey, we talked earlier this morning about music and the British invasion, but I want to know what Monkey Mania was like. When you were out in a concert or you're out in public and the fans are crazed, what is that experience like?
Well, I guess it's the same experience that we've all had when you're at that certain little peak. You get those little mountains and valleys. But I first want to also start out by saying I haven't met or know everybody here individually and very well, but I'm so flattered and honored to be on the same stage of all these incredible musicians. You don't keep doing this for this many years without having the goods. My mom just loved you guys. She bought me all your albums, and I love them to this day. Well, the mania, it happens. It does, in my case, it didn't happen so much in your hometown, in my hometown. I don't know if everybody else can agree, but in your own town, after you've been in the business for a decade, as I had been already, you become a little bit like furniture, and so people just expect seeing you at the dry cleaners. But boy, when we hit the road in '67, the 50th is coming up. It was an eye-opener. I mean, because we had just been in the studio filming the television show, of course, for 10 hours a day at least, 10 to 12 hours a day, just filming, and nobody around. There's no social media. No one knows where you are. You just get in your car and you drive home, and then on the weekends, starting to rehearse for the touring, and then at night after the show, I mostly, because I did most of the leads, I would be in the studio at RCA Victor sometimes doing 2 or 3 lead vocals a night. And I listen back to some of that shit and I'm like, whoa. I wish I'd have had another shot at that one, but that's what we had to do. We had to fulfill this, crazy commitment. So it wasn't until we hit the road actually it was slightly before that. It was December, and I've told this story, probably a lot of people here have heard it. It was December of '66, so the show had been on for 3 months from September. Like at least 1 or 2 of the records were top 10. But again, we were almost incommunicado. I mean, we were in studio, car, studio, cafeteria, recording studio, back home. And we got a hiatus. We got 1 week off of the show. And I was going to drive up north to see my family who were living in San Jose. So got in a little car, my shopping list, and I went down to the local mall that I'd shopped at my whole life. I just grew up in the valley, and I was 2 blocks from where I grew up. And I went down to this mall, and I got my list, and I gotta go get my stuff. And I go through the big glass doors, and all of a sudden I hear people screaming and running at me. I thought it was a fire. And I'm holding open the door going, don't panic! Slow down, walk! Okay, don't panic! And I suddenly realized they were running at me. And I was really pissed off because I had to leave. I had to get back in my car, and I went and got my one of my roadies to buy all my Christmas presents. That was the first inkling that I had, and it can get crazy, and sometimes it can get dangerous. I suspect everybody here has some story about something that could have or might have gotten out of hand.
All right, I want to talk to the guys from Vanilla Fudge because they've got new music coming out, but the CD that came out last year is perfect for this cruise because it is called the Spirit of '67, and it has 10 cover songs on it, including I'm a Believer, which is a very cool version of that song, for what it's worth. Heard it through the grapevine, so if you get a chance, if the CDs are available on the cruise, definitely worth a listen. And Mark wrote the final track on it, so there's a lot of great music. But I wanted to ask you guys, you were huge Beatle fans because you included a couple of songs on an early album, right? So can you give us that? Did you get into music because of the state of pop music at the time, Mark?
Well, actually, all of us started out so young in life, learning our instruments, and we progressed through the streets singing, a cappella with great harmonies. And then when we started checking out the clubs in New York, we were checking out all the top 40 bands, and finally, when we hit Long Island, it was a Long Island sound where bands were doing like long production numbers. There was a band called The Vagrants. The first time I ever saw a band take a song like Exodus or Fire Was a Carpenter, and they made this big arrangement production number out of it. And it totally changed my life and blew my mind, okay? But before that, we saw a band called The Young Rascals.
We had Phyllis here last year, he'll be back next year on the cruise.
And that was the first blue-eyed soul band. I must have been 19 years old. We used to go every night at the phone booth in New York City, which was a discotheque in those days. So I'd sit under Felix Cavallari's Hammond organ, this beast of an instrument, and that's what just blew me away into soulful singing. Got me personally into playing Hammond and singing like that, So it was really the combination of the blue-eyed soul of the Rascals and the arrangement capabilities of the Vagrants, which was the nucleus for Vanilla Fudge ultimately. So,
Also, dive. I was going to say, it was a combination of what Mark said, but also we did listen to like the Yardbirds in those days, and they were doing the rave up stuff. And the rave up stuff really became the psychedelic part of our stuff, you know. And when we did listen to songs, we tried to match the music to the lyrics. You know, if you look at You Keep Me Hanging On, the lyrics are hurting, so it slowed it down, made it drama. Eleanor Rigby's like a very eerie kind of approach. People Get Ready, gospel approach with organ and gospel voices. So that's what we always tried to do, you know.
Did you, what was the reason that you decided to remake You Keep Me Hanging On, Motown songs? Please?
Well, I mean, Mark can tell you that story.
Well, there was I think it was the winter of 1966, and we were parked in front of another discotheque called the Cheetah on Broadway, and it was freezing cold out. So actually, I was sitting in Tim Bogert, our original bass player's 55 Chevy, and the Supreme come on, you know, You Keep Me Hanging On real fast. We were smoking a little doobie, you know. I mean, the stuff back then was so mild compared to now. Because you turned me on to the way stuff, that's why.
Honestly, I was just saying, did you get on